thing so many times. But finally we got it, the way that it really worked. And then what we did was, let's see if I got a picture. I'll come to that in a second. Then at his big leadership summit, he handed this thing out to all 3,000 leaders. Laminated, looked all nice, right? And so that's fine. Here's your new strategy. But it's a little one-sided, right? So you tell me here's the new strategy. Well, what do I do with that? So then what we did, long story short, we put them through a couple of activities where they made meaning out of this vision. What we didn't do was put it up on the big projector and say, okay, this is you guys today, this is what it means, you're disjointed, you're putting pieces together in this way where things don't fit, it's really not working very well, and then over here it's going to be all coordinated, it's going to be really great. We didn't do that. What we did was we put them in little groups, 3,000 people, and tables of 10, and we said, make your own meaning out of this. So look at this thing, and what to you does that mean? And they talked about it, and all this good stuff. So then, that's nice, it's the strategy for the whole company, but how do I apply it to my day-to-day job? Then, what we did was we literally designed a board game. Just like a board game, right? Big giant piece of paper, we had little boats cut out of wood, laser cut out of wood, and we designed the mechanics of the game, and I don't remember if there was a spinner, I think there was a spinner involved, and they sat at tables and we taught them how to play it, and we had 3,000 leaders from this company playing this board game all at once. The point of the board game was to apply the strategy to your day-to-day job. So you might flip over a card that says, take this part of the strategy, what would you do in this situation, using this part of the strategy as your sort of guide or whatever. We also had them do things like, take this part of the strategy and turn it into a cartoon strip, or explain it to a 6-year-old, or whatever. Anything to get them to internalize it and to make their own meaning out of it. All of this comes from educational theory. All right? So it's really cool. 3,000 people playing it, and then they took that board game and their dream app, and they took that back to their other 7,000 employees, and that's how they taught the strategy to everybody. Okay, so really quick, graphic capture. So graphic capture is the thing where you can stand there and draw on the wall. This is me doing graphic capture for, I think, 3,000. No, this is that same thing for 3,000 people. Just so you know, it's way easier to do this for 3,000 people than it is for like 10 people. Anybody know why?
10 people can talk at once, 3,000 people.
That's a great point, yes. Also because 10 people are watching. 3,000 people, you're a blip on the radar. So, okay. So this is graphic capture. So these are boards that I did at the Montana Job Summit recently. I was for the CEO of SpaceX and Tesla. Amazing guy. Unbelievable guy. Blah, blah, blah. So you see, what I'm doing here is I'm using a couple of different tools to capture a conversation. So now I'm going to get into sort of rapid getting your ideas out. This is from Hatch last year. Okay, so when I'm doing this graphic capture, I'm doing 3 things at once. I'm listening, I'm synthesizing, meaning, I'll get to that in a second. Listening, synthesizing, then I'm figuring out how do I depict it. So listening makes sense. I'm just trying to hear what you're saying as you're talking. But also what I'm doing is I'm filtering out a ton of what you're saying. And I'm listening for what I call so what I'm saying is moment. So invariably what people do is when they're talking, not invariably, often, what people do when they're talking is they'll say a bunch of stuff and they're trying to find their way around their point. And then they'll realize their point and they'll sum it up. So I listen for that. I listen for themes. I listen for connections. I listen for the common threads between what you just said and what you said. All that kind of stuff, and I try to find ways to depict it. The idea is that at any given point, you can look up on the wall and see the conversation reflected. And it's a facilitation tool. It's meant to reflect the conversation back. But you got to move fast. You got to move really, really fast. And people always ask me, well, do you have notes? Do you know what they're going to say? And I don't. I've done it for a long time. And one of the ideas too is that hopefully what you're doing is you're helping people think about this information in a different way, maybe in a way that they haven't thought of before. All right? That's graphic capture. And it's a lot of fun. Any quick questions or thoughts? Okay. All right, so now I want to teach you guys a little bit of a modeling language, because soon Jacob's going to have you save the world. And a great way to get ideas out quickly is using pictures. All right. What's that? Circles. What else? Yeah, triangle. What else? Colors. Yeah. What else? Cool. Yeah. RGB colors. Okay. Good. What's that? Connections between those shapes. Anything else? Triangle. Okay. Add another element. Doesn't change it so much. And then let's add this element. Does anybody know what that is? You guys are probably a little young for this, but I think it was 1967. You guys know Southwest Airlines? Okay. So back then, this changed their company. And this was invented literally on the back of a napkin. So a couple of execs from Southwest Airlines, the business wasn't doing so well, they were sitting in a bar or whatever. One of them, they were trying to figure out, what do we do? Grabbed a napkin and they designed this route, Dallas to San Antonio to Houston. And it changed their business. Just do that. Just fly those three cities back and forth. And, it allowed their business to take off. That's a model. That's a visual representation. That's different than me typing up a paragraph of how these guys came up with this new strategy. So, very, very simple. As you guys are working on this stuff tonight, think about these elements. It's 4 simple things. You got actors, which are shapes. An actor could be a circle, it could be a stick figure, it could be a rhinoceros, it could be whatever. It could be a mountain. But it's a visual representation of something. Second thing is annotations, so labeling things, very simple words. Third thing, of course, is relationships. How do those things connect to each other? What do they do to each other? And then the fourth thing is just a field. What is the container that these elements are in? So in our design shops, we put people through a lot of rapid work. Go out into your breakouts and do this, and come back and tell us what you did. And invariably, when we show people this first, what they end up creating is very, very different. So I'll challenge you tonight to try to use some of this thinking when you do this. Why?
Well, you have to consider the factors involved and like how they relate to each other and your parameters, your restrictions, and things like that. So this kind of seems to just sum it up in a clear way.
Yeah. What else?
You have to be able,
No, go ahead.
you have to be able to clearly explain the solution and the idea to someone who wasn't present during the class.
Remember the 60,000 times faster thing? So that's this. And it kind of just gets to something different. Okay, so almost done here. So as you all go out and do this, here's my advice to you. Stick figures are awesome. They really are, I promise you. Don't play the I can't draw card, because it just limits you, and it doesn't matter. So also, when you go out into these groups, my advice is assign some roles. A facilitator, somebody who's sort of in charge of driving the conversation. Don't let this person dominate. Make sure that person contributes. A timekeeper, however long Jacob gives you, it's good to know how long you've got and to budget that time. And then a scribe. Scribe meaning the person using the markers. That doesn't mean only one person can do it. But just someone who's in charge of capturing what you create. And then use a process. So how long will they have, Jacob? Like
An hour.
An hour. So you've got an hour. My advice is use that. So, solving for, what's one of them? Housing in Haiti or something? Just experiment with not diving right into that particular problem. Maybe just play around with, what have we seen work in other places? What does this problem really mean? What are the implications of this problem? Why do we even care about solving this problem? That's a good one to start. See what you all care about. And then give yourself, the last 20 minutes to like bang out the answer to this. Okay, really quick, a couple of design principles that we use, and I just like these. You can't get there from here, but you can get here from there. Does anybody have any idea what that means? What that means is it's really challenging to stand here in January of 2014 and look 2 years into the future and get yourself to the solution for the Philippines or Haiti or South Africa. It's hard. There are people that are wrestling with this problem all over the world. It's a different thing to paint a picture of success. It's a different thing to say, now we are 2 years in the future, the problem, this problem in Haiti is solved, here's what it looks like, and then to work your way backward. It's just a different thing. Worth experimenting with. Okay, this one's long, but humor me. Every individual in this room already possesses an answer. The purpose of this intensive interaction is to stimulate one, several, or all of us to remember and extract what we already know. The point of that is, like I said earlier, the answers to these problems are actually already here. They're in your brains collectively. So what we're trying to do is get things popping so that you can expose them and combine them and allow them to enhance each other. Two more. Creativity is the process of eliminating options. I love this one. So in our design studio, even though I don't call it a design studio, in our studio, when we are coming up with ideas, let's have a talking blood bag, let's do this, let's do that, let's do whatever. Definitely brainstorming is creative. It absolutely is. What's more creative is eliminating options. The reason for that is that you're sharpening the axe. You're finding the right solution to that particular problem. It's hard. Eliminating really creative ideas is really hard. But think of it as a creative process, not slashing ideas. Okay, one more. If you can't have fun with the problem, you will never solve it. So that one speaks for itself. I think that's it. Any quick questions or thoughts or anything? Go back to Jacob.
Yeah, we can take some 5 or 10 minutes for any questions you guys have.
What's the most unexpected solution that you see?
Who asked that? Most unexpected solution. Oh, that's a great question. I don't know. What do you think about that? Nothing pops into my mind. When they go through this process of designing these, it's so incremental in a way. They are just working their way towards these solutions. It's usually not a big unveiling surprise.
The reason I thought of that is just what if a company of 10,000 people actually realizes they need to cut 2,000 people?
Oh yeah, yeah, it happens. It happens. It definitely happens. But something that big, they've known it already, and they're confirming it in the session. It's something that huge. It's it was already in the air, and it was clearly where they were headed. The thing about a giant company like that is it's like the Titanic. It does not turn on a dime. No matter what crazy stuff they invent, it is a massive moving thing, and it takes time to move it. So you don't see a lot of big surprises in those sessions. You see people get really inspired. You see people come up with a way of interacting that they never thought of before. You see people combining roles. You see, I guess the one thing that you see sometimes is you see in the course of a session, sometimes you'll see someone's job, somebody who's there, you see their job dissolve, and you see them take a new role. Sometimes you see that. You see their job go away right in front of their eyes, and them, collectively invent a different role for that person. You do see that sometimes. That's pretty cool. You also see people's job go away, and that's it. That kind of sucks.
Do you ever host any of these sessions outside of, a conference room or business attire? Get people out of their
That's a key.
I guess not comfort zone.
Yeah.
Business.
Yeah, that's a key
side
part
of
it.
things.
Yeah, the reason we have them in, when we have them in big ballrooms in hotels. Usually we do them in the city where they're headquartered, but if it's an Atlanta company, we'll rent a big giant ballroom in Atlanta, get them out of their offices, get them in there for 3 days. We tell them to turn off their cell phones. For a while there, we had this phase where we took their cell phones. You had to check your cell phone at the door. People don't like that, you know. But we wanted them to be fully there, you know. Kind of stopped doing that sometimes. But no, that's a huge part of it, is to get people out of there every day, because otherwise it's like you got a day job, you're a busy person, and so. And we've done it before where we take people to a whole different city, you know, which is really great. But no, getting them out of there every day is a really important component of it, and getting them out of their comfort zone. You know, people don't want to necessarily put on a costume and do a skit, you know, or build a model out of pipe cleaners and foam balls and stuff. But then they love it because they get to do something different and it stimulates. Yeah.
What kills us? What is the really wrong thing to do?
So what's cool about it is that it's a self-correcting process. So let's say that we're in a breakout. 8 of us are in a breakout together. And on day 2, the focus phase, and we're in this big activity, people are so vested in it, and they're so there because they've been taken out of their everyday world. Usually if a person starts dominating, the group will adjust for that. We're constantly across the 3 days checking our process and adjusting. We've scrapped a whole day before and redesigned it on the fly because we got it. We had to go a different direction. The only one of these out of the 300 of these that I've probably done, the only one that I've ever seen fail, and it failed big. It failed. And the reason it failed was the top leader, remember that pyramid, the yellow person? He came in on the first day and he said, here's what you all need to do over the next 3 days. Here's what I'm expecting of you. Do what these facilitators say. They're going to take you through a great process. Go do it. And then he left. And then he came back at the end of the 3rd day to hear what all of his employees had designed. And he wasn't there to be a part of that shared experience. So he had no context for what they had designed. He had none of that skin in the game around what they had all designed together. He didn't have the understanding of it. And he came in and he sat there for final reporting of all this work they had done, and he shot it all down. And he said, we're not doing that, we're not doing that, we're not doing that, we're not doing that. So the thing was, there was 0 air left in the balloon. Because he killed it. Because he didn't stay. Simply because he didn't stay. So that's the only one I've ever seen do.
Any more questions? Cool. All right. Yeah.